Let's recap the most notable performances from opening day next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Friday, April 8th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And let's start all the way up at the top, Scott. Shohei Ohtani. He was a first-round pick in most leagues for what he can do as a hitter. And then on opening day, he comes out 9 strikeouts over 4 2/3 against one of the best lineups in baseball in the Houston Astros. Maybe we consider using him as a pitcher?
I mean, it's not just that he had great numbers, 9 strikeouts and 4 2/3 innings. He showed even better stuff than last year. His velocity was up considerably across the board, which is hard to believe because he was already so good as a pitcher last year. But he averaged nearly 98 on his fastball in this one, and got a ton of swinging strikes in addition to the strike. Like it just looked like he could be one of the best pitchers in baseball. Frankly, I mean, was already pretty darn good. So yeah, I mean, I wonder how often he's going to start, if it's going to be more regularly every 6th turn this year. Maybe they won't have to be so careful with his innings now that it's more than a full year removed from, or last year was his first full year back from Tommy John surgery. And so now he's hopefully more built up, and that could be a game changer. We'll see.
Let's stick with starting pitcher, Scott, and talk about someone you could actually add in your leagues right now. Tylor Megill looked very good against the Washington Nationals. 5 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts. The fastball velo was up for him. He's only 36% rostered. Scott, how excited would you be to add someone like Tylor Megill?
Yeah, you say the fastball velocity was up. I want to say up a mile per hour and a half on average. Like it was way up too. Not quite to Ohtani's level, but definitely enough to care about. And yeah, he got 10 swinging strikes on 68 pitches. There's 2 pretty good secondaries to go with that fastball. I think he showed more upside than I even imagined him having in this first start. So I would say Mcgill is every non-reliever from, like, there are relievers that showed their worth picking up based on opening day, but among non-relievers, I think Tylor Megill's the top guy.
All right, let's talk about all of those relievers, Scott, and we'll start with the Chicago Cubs. Rowan Wick pitched in the 8th inning. He gave up 2 hits and a run. Michael Givens came in to relieve him, and then after that, David Robertson comes in the 9th, locks down the save for the Cubs. For the Cincinnati Reds, Tony Santillan, a clean inning, 2 strikeouts, picked up the save there. And then the Marlins didn't play, but Don Mattingly came out and said that Anthony Bender will get the team's first save opportunity. So what do you think about these 3 bullpens and how you would rank them in terms of priority adds?
Yeah, so Bender's the easy one. Bender is a good reliever. He's a better reliever than Dylan Floro, who's the one he's replacing. And now that he's a good reliever who has been anointed the closer, it sounds like, I think he takes priority over any good reliever who hasn't been anointed the closer, frankly. So definitely the highest priority is him. Tony Santillan and David Robertson, we're left to deduce. And that's always scary, because you could throw a lot of fab dollars at a reliever thinking he's the guy, and then somebody else comes out the next day and gets the saves. We were presuming Art Warren would get that chance for the Reds. And, maybe if things hadn't played out in the way they did with Santillan warming up in the 8th, he wouldn't have come in for the 9th, and maybe Warren would have been the guy. But Santillan did come in, and he struck out 2 and looked great. And you look at his numbers as a reliever last year, over 20 appearances, 236 ERA, 101 whip, 12.2 K per 9. Why couldn't it be Tony Santillan? Like, that definitely sounds like closer ability. David Robertson of the Cubs, he has a history as a closer. It's been a couple of years. He's had injuries. But, it seemed like very conventional usage. They used Michael Givens and Rowan Wick to set up for him, and then brought him in. Like that was the plan all along for Robertson. So I think I prioritize Santillan over him because he's better than Robertson. But I mean, Robertson might be a little more secure in the role. It's hard to say at this point.
All right, let's wrap up with this trade. A pretty big trade goes down on opening day. Chris Paddack and Emilio Pagan to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for Taylor Rogers and outfielder Brent Rooker. And Padres manager Bob Melvin already named Taylor Rogers the closer, so we don't have to worry about that. But the ripple effect for the Minnesota Twins, Scott, who do you think winds up with the first save there with Minnesota?
Rocco Baldelli likes committees, so I think it's going to take a few weeks to sort this out. But if you're making me bet on one Twins reliever to be the guy, I would guess Jorge Alcala is the guy.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. We'll be back again tomorrow morning on Saturday. Bye-bye.